Tonight, I have a very famous author with me, though he's not famed for his books necessarily. He's famed for his business acumen. You will all know him from the TV series Dragon's Den. Welcome, James Caan.
Hi, how are you, Ian?
Well, I'm very well. Thank you for coming on. And it's a magnificent cover you've got on this book that you've written.
Thank you.
Start your business in 7 days. Any business I've started has taken several months. It's quite an achievement to do it in 7 days.
I think what it is, Ian, I've basically combined the experience of 4 years on Dragon's Den, where I saw literally over 1,000 presentations and pictures, and I currently run just over 40 companies today. And if you can imagine, when you combine that amount of experience, it's kind of given me the ability to focus, because a lot of people used to say to me, how can you make a decision in 20 minutes on Dragon's Den?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is, if you understand the kind of journey and the mechanism of how to make a decision, is this business viable? Should I really do this? And what I'm trying to do is kind of help people out there who've got a business idea, who've got a business, to say, is this something that's going to work? And really the book is about defining that journey and helping them make that decision to say, this is something, is a must, I should do it, or actually this is more like a hobby, it's never going to be a business.
Because you ask a lot of questions in the book, which anybody that's looking to set up a business, they've kind of got to answer yes, or otherwise it's not worth going for. You've got to be so committed, haven't you? It's
Absolutely.
I mean, you made me feel guilty at one bit in there where I said, you can't be a part-time entrepreneur. And of course, I'm here 5 nights a week doing my radio show, and during the day, I run a couple of businesses. But you think you've actually got to give your all just to the single business and be completely single-minded?
Well, it's a great question, and I think, and that's what the book's really about, because what the book is saying to that question is, you're never going to build scale. It's never going to be a huge business. It's going to be a lifestyle. And what I say there is, if it's a lifestyle that you want, that's perfectly okay. But don't confuse a business which is a lifestyle and convince yourself it's going to be a huge empire, because it probably won't. What I'm saying in there, people who you meet in life that are genuinely remarkably successful very rarely do it part-time.
What do you think makes an entrepreneur? Because to my mind, there are two sorts of people who run businesses. There are people who run a business because somehow it's a subject matter that they're interested in. I run a publishing business. I love books. I love politics. So I run a political publishing business. Now, other people will think, well, I don't need to be interested in the subject matter of the business. I just want to run a business as a business. So I can produce a widget, even if I don't care what the widget is. I can see a market for that widget, and I'm going to market it all over the world and make millions of pounds that way.
I wouldn't back that person. I wouldn't. I think if you're going to be successful, you have to live and breathe and be passionate about what you do. So I think just to come up with an idea of a widget, of something you don't really believe in, it's not your passion, is that something you can really create a huge business out of? As an investor, I wouldn't back that business. I'd want to see the person sitting in front of me absolutely passionate about that. It was their creation, it was their idea, it's something that they had created. Because to me, widgets themselves do not build big businesses. Publishing businesses do not go to the market on their own. Businesses are built and created through the passion of an individual who absolutely believes in it. And to me, that's what I look for if I'm investing in somebody.
You related an anecdote about a lady who, I think she came on Dragon's Den, who had created a dog treadmill, which, I mean, you just read it and you think, what a ridiculous idea. But you backed her because of her,
yes,
rather than the idea. Just take us through how that worked.
It's a great example, because I passionately believe that business is about people. So when I'm helping somebody crystallize a vision for a business, to me it's all about the person. And when Sammy came on the show, I said to Sammy, tell me about you, Sammy. What is it about you that you think that I would invest? Because, you know, to put it bluntly, you know, fat dogs out there with treadmills, I'm not quite sure is where I'm at.
Plenty of fat dogs out there.
So she said, look, James, let me tell you a bit about me. She said, I come from a middle-class family. I essentially, you know, had a great education, private school, got married. I've got 3 kids, got divorced now. Live in a council flat. During the day, I work as a waitress in a restaurant, and in the evening, I'm kind of selling these machines, because one of my daughters is really bright. She's incredible, and I really want to send her to private school, but I don't have the cash, so I want to be in business. I happen to love animals, I love dogs, and I really passionately believe that you can rehabilitate animals and dogs, specifically who've been unwell, and rather than taking them for a walk 4 times a day, give them a treadmill. So it's a mechanism that eases the rehabilitation process. I really bought into her because I could see her passion, because success in her business meant her child would get the education that she passionately felt committed to. So the issue wasn't about the treadmill, it was what is it that's driving the woman to succeed. And I felt she had a genuine need for success. The product was something that she had invented. She'd had dogs all of her life, and she'd seen how when dogs, have an accident, etc. And interesting enough, when she came into the den and I invested in her, that year she sold 25 machines. Within the first year of being an investor in her business, we sold 493 machines.
They weren't cheap, were they?
We were buying them,
I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were buying them at 350 and selling them at £1,700.
That's a good markup.
Very good, very healthy margin. We like that.
Yes, don't get that in publishing. Can you learn to be an entrepreneur, or is it something that's sort of in your DNA?
Well, I mean, I think if I take Sammy as an example, I don't think Sammy was a natural entrepreneur. I mean, she'd never been in business before. She'd never thought of herself as a businesswoman. But I think what happens is you come across something that you feel passionate about, or you have an idea that you think, this could be really big. And I think it's that drive and that passion for making a difference, creating something, building something. And I think the book is all about showing you how you do that. So the book is very about how. When you read the book, it kind of takes you on a journey. It's like being on a train. And what I say is, at each time you get to a station, you reevaluate and say, is this right? Will this work? And if the answer is it's not, you should get off the train.
Because the problem is, as I know, I've started, 7 or 8 businesses in my life, and there are all sorts of different skills that you have to have. You have to know a bit about money, you have to know about accounts, you have to know about managing people, you have to know about marketing, because in the beginning, it is just you, and there are very few people that have all of those skills.
I agree, and I think what I say in the book is if you come across those issues where you have to do something that you're naturally not good at, then you need to find somebody who is. Because even, a lot of people think I'm financially very literate. I left school at 16, I have no degree, I've never been an accountant, I'm not a banker, yet I understand numbers because I've surrounded myself with people who do. So I think when I meet entrepreneurs, very often I meet somebody who says, I've got this great idea, let me introduce you to Brian, he's my partner, he's great at financial, let me meet you Julie, Julie's coming on board because she's great at marketing, and essentially they've divided the company into, a third each. So I think when you're in a situation where you feel that a particular component is important, what I say in the book is maybe you should find or bring somebody on board who complements your strengths with some of those skills.
What are the most common mistakes that people make when they think they've had the most wonderful business idea ever, they want to go ahead? What's the most common mistake that they then make?
I think they sometimes over-engineer the idea. They think the market wants more than they're prepared to pay, so you over-engineer it, and by over-engineering you make it too expensive, and therefore you can never sell enough volume. In business, it is volume that makes money. What happens is most entrepreneurs overdevelop something, they overcomplicate it, and therefore it becomes too expensive to make, and the market won't pay the price. Or I think they don't do enough research. They don't understand the market well enough. They don't understand the pricing well enough. They don't understand the logistics, the manufacturing, the process, etc. So when you make that mistake, it's because you've tried to cut too many corners. Unfortunately, in business, you cannot cut corners. You have to go through the process meticulously well.
And I guess another mistake that people make is they overestimate their likely sales and underestimate their costs, particularly often their overhead costs.
They do. And I think what I've always found is that the biggest mistake they make is people go too far with an idea without testing the market. So what I say to almost every entrepreneur I meet is before you over-engineer it, before you overly invest in it, go and talk to potential customers. Because if nobody wants to buy it, it doesn't really matter. It'll never work. So, come up with a concept, come up with an idea, and as quick as you can, go and talk to potential customers and say, if I could deliver you this, if I could make this at this price, is this something you would buy? Because if the answer's no, you shouldn't be doing it anyway.
I've had lots of ideas of DVDs that I'd like to do, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, I would buy them, but maybe I'm not the best example of the likely market that
And I think the other point is really, really important is when I say go and test the market, I don't mean with family and friends, because they have a tendency to tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly. You tell some fantastic stories in the book about being approached by people completely randomly. I particularly like the one on the motorway.
Oh, Ian, it was absolutely hilarious. I'm on my way to Manchester. I'm driving down the motorway, and we hit a traffic jam. And I'm sitting in the car with my wife. We're having this conversation. All of a sudden, remember, this is the motorway, and somebody knocks on my door, and I'm like freaked out because I'm thinking, you know, maybe it's the police. I look around. There's a guy with an envelope. Anyway, so I pull the window down because I'm a bit nervous because I understand why somebody's stopping me on the motorway. And he said, "You're James Caan, aren't you?" And I looked at him and I thought, okay. He said, "Yes, I am." He said, "James, you cannot believe," he said, "I've been looking to meet you for ages. I carry around with my business plan with the hope that one day you and I are going to meet." He said, "I'm on the motorway, I'm looking in my mirror, I can see your car and I recognise your number plate." And I thought, it has to be him. So I was praying we're going to come to a traffic jam somewhere, give me the opportunity to stop, and can I please leave you this? And I'm thinking, you can't believe, he cannot be serious. You cannot be telling me on a motorway I'm going to be handed a business plan. And do you know what was really interesting? It probably wasn't a bad idea, but out of principle, I'm not going to invest on the motorway. There's got to be a limit somewhere.
I would think to myself, maybe this is an omen. but does this happen very often?
Sometimes I come out of my office, I get to the car, and there's a business plan on my windscreen where somebody's put it on the window. I have situations where I could be in a hotel, you know, and this is a true story. You know, I was in a hotel, I was in the toilets, I'm standing in front of the urinal. Guy next to me says, "You're that guy from Dragon's Den, aren't you?" So I said,
I hope he was looking at your face, that's how he recognised you.
I'm thinking there must be a time and a place for a pitch. This definitely isn't one of them. I mean, literally, whether it's restaurants, in the street...
You've got to take your chance, haven't you? And in a way, you've got to admire people that have the balls to do that.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I genuinely... I'm very polite to them because I do understand it. You know, it's difficult for them because, you know, they've built up the courage or they've got an idea and they're passionate about it. And if they've found the initiative to somehow approach you in that way, the problem is, as you can imagine, I can't invest in everything I see. My website gets nearly 400,000 hits a month. You know, I get literally thousands of ideas. It's really hard to find the gem in those ideas that I would back.
And if someone has got what they think is a really good idea to put to you, what is the official process of doing it?
I mean, what they should absolutely do is go to my website. I have a section on the site that actually looks for business ideas, looks for business plans. You should send a plan in there. Don't always expect a response because we do get literally thousands. But if there's something that comes across our desk that we genuinely think is of interest, we'd always look at it. The area that I'm most passionate about, that I'm investing a lot of money at the moment, is in the recruitment industry. The recruitment market is something I'm really familiar with. It's a business I've been in, and I'm always happy to back recruitment entrepreneurs or existing recruitment businesses that want to grow, they want to expand, and they need capital to build, or somebody who's really passionate about building their own recruitment business.
Well, James Caan, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope people will buy your book, particularly those who've got a bit of entrepreneurial spirit. It's called Start Your Business in 7 Days. It's published by Portfolio Penguin in paperback. This is LBC 97.3.